Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, the Russians.
Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots, their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Well, good afternoon. Oh, geez, already off to a terrible start. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. As always on Saturday, I'm joined by Chris Paul. Chris, I hope you're having a better day than I am.
I didn't know that you were having a bad day. What time zone are you in where it's afternoon?
I don't know.
Hawaii farther?
I can't tell you.
Oh.
Mainly, I'm just having a bad hair day. I didn't shower all day until like 8, and then I just realized, like, man, rough hair day, and that just totally threw me off for the rest of the show. So
that'll do it.
You're gonna have to carry us tonight, man.
I'll try to. I'm having a totally acceptable hair day, so I will do as well as I can.
That's good. I see you are wearing some Rise merch. I'm wearing my Christmas sweater again.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep. Haven't taken it off since last Saturday. So
the weather is finally at the point where it makes sense to once again don the Cywar crewneck sweatshirt that you can get it on. Where can we get it?
Badlandsmedia.tv/rise.
There you go.
Are you getting snow? Like I'm getting snow?
No.
I got a lot of snow.
Don't be ridiculous.
I got so much snow the last couple of days.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible. I don't even know how many inches. It's way too many inches. When you're measuring it in inches, it's already too much.
I am with you. I grew up in a place where it snowed by the foot.
Yep. And it feels like we're about at a foot. I had to go shovel. I've had to shovel twice now. And
wow.
If I'm lucky, I can like just avoid shoveling and just, drive on it and get out of the way and really only feel guilty that my neighbors, once your neighbors start shoveling your sidewalk, that's when I'm like, oh, shit, I better get out there. But yeah, this year I've already had to shovel twice and that sucks. So,
well, soon the kids should be able to do it, right?
Yeah. I mean, my son probably could. My daughter, I'll never be able to convince her to do it. But my son, I could probably make go do that sometime.
Yeah.
But they're with their mother. So instead I made my girlfriend do it with me. That was fun.
That's fun. It's like that scene in Dumb and Dumber when they go off in the snow together and have a snowball fight and all that. You're like walking in a winter wonderland together.
Yeah, I didn't feel like that.
Oh, well.
No. There was no snowball fight. It was just like we were both like, man, this sucks. How much is a snowblower? That's what we both said to each other afterwards.
Yeah. It does make sense.
Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, man, plenty to talk about tonight, I think. The Venezuela thing is really starting to pop off finally. And I feel like we've been ahead of the curve on this because we've been talking Venezuela for
a couple of years
now. But now it's finally time because it's been revealed that they're stealing everybody's elections everywhere. And it's perfectly appropriate. We will probably catch up on the Emerald Robinson thread. We won't reread the whole thing and dedicate the whole show to it, but there's been like 3 tweets since Wednesday. So we should probably catch up on those.
All right.
We could probably talk a little bit about the mega influencers that are basically running info ops for the enemy. Something I talked about on Wednesday or my Thursday show, and I think it'd be good to get your insight on. There's something else, the Afghanistan thing, the National Guard thing. We got plenty. So we'll start trucking away. But first, how's your Thanksgiving?
It was good. It was really good. Saw some family, watched some football. Ate some good food. So that's no complaints. Yeah.
Checks all the boxes for a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Did you cook the turkey?
I didn't do shit.
Me neither. And I kind of felt guilty, but then I was like, you have no reason to feel guilty. They signed up for this. So
that's right.
So then I stopped feeling guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is one comment I also want to address in the chat from Bubba Ganoush. It's a good comment. I think we should do that. But first, let's get a quick word from our sponsors. Do us a favor, everybody, hit that thumbs up. We'd appreciate it. But let's hear about CB Distillery's Black Friday sale. So all the Black Friday sales are popping off. Excuse me. Sorry. African-American sales. Black Friday is here, and CB Distillery is going big. Their biggest sale of the year is on right now. You can save up to 60% on everything with code RUMBLE. But hurry, this deal is only around for a few days. Look, if holiday stress has you running on empty, you need to hear about CBD from CB Distillery. They've got natural, clean solutions for stress, sleep, mood, focus, pretty much anything you need to actually enjoy the season. And you can get all your holiday shopping done. Give the gift of CBD for better sleep and treat your gym buddy to a pain relief stick for after workouts. And don't forget to grab a little calm for yourself. This is the perfect time to stock up. Save up to 60% during CB Distillery's Black Friday sale. Just head to cbdistillery.com and use promo code RUMBLE. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code RUMBLE. Specific product availability depends on individual state regulations. And don't let me forget, I'll come to our other sponsor a little bit later. Bubba Ganoush had a good comment here, and I want to read it. I worry that Trump will never expose 2020. If he doesn't now, people will hate him because all of this shit could have been avoided. If he doesn't expose it, we're fucked. I fear we're fucked. What do you think, Chris?
I don't think that we are fucked. And I don't think that at this point it is the responsibility of Donald Trump to release what we could all already know on our own. And that's that our elections are fake. It's not just that they're stolen. And that's one of the important things. And we can maybe take this and lead into some of the Emerald Robinson, Venezuela stole our elections claims with the Three Amigos, or Musketeers, which is even gayer than Three Amigos. It's like they're trying to write that for history. Oh, in 200 years, they're gonna call us the Three Musketeers. Stories will be written about us. We'll be the new Paul Revere for figuring out, getting to the bottom of this Venezuela business.
The Three Amigos might be more appropriate though, because have you seen that movie? That movie's so good.
It is a very funny movie. Yeah,
it's a funny movie, and that's what I feel like. This is a comedy story that they're writing for us.
It is comical in its presentation, at the very least, and in the fact that it took them 5 years to put this story out this way. And after 5 years, this story doesn't really have the shine on it that they probably expected it to have when they wrote it more than 5 years ago. You know, this is one of those storylines that has obviously been planned for a really long time. It absolutely makes no sense now. I even did a poll on Telegram and Truth Social today, posted it in both places, and there have been literally hundreds of votes. It's not like some Elon Musk Twitter poll or anything, but hundreds of votes, and only a handful saying that they believe the voting machines were the only problem in the elections, and 99+% saying that there were other problems in addition to the machines. So if 99% of the people already believe that there are other problems besides the machines, why in the world would we care so much about a voting machine issue that is clearly being used to lead us into a war of choice? Why would anyone go along with that? That's what I'm
but it's because it's their favorite TV characters that we're not allowed to question. They're the ones that are pushing this. And I think back to Trump and some of the series of tweets that I wrote about in my series. Trump repeatedly, when he talked about election fraud, the voting machine was always a part of it. And I think it is a big part of it. You know, I do think in order for Trump to have implemented something like devolution, there needed to be some sort of foreign element to it. And I've always speculated that probably came from some form of foreign interference in terms of the machines. So I think that element is needed. But I mean, the foreign element you could justify that from so many different ways. We don't know what Trump chose. But when you talk about it, that one of my favorite tweets, and we went over this on Wednesday too, but I'm going to read it again. Right after meeting with Ratcliffe, who we're going to talk more about him and how awful Emerald Robinson thinks he is here in a little bit. But these are just some of the instances of fraud that Trump talks about. Not all of it is machines. Swing states that have found massive voter fraud, which is all of them, cannot legally certify these votes as complete and correct without committing a severely punishable crime. Everybody knows that dead people, below-age people, illegal immigrants, fake signatures, prisoners, and many others voted illegally. Also machine glitches, another word for fraud, ballot harvesting, non-resident voters, fake ballots, stuffing the ballot box, votes for pay, roughed up Republican poll watchers, and sometimes even more votes than people voting took place in Detroit, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and elsewhere. In all swing states, there are far more votes than are necessary to win the state and the election itself. Therefore, votes cannot be certified. This election is under protest.
Yeah.
I mean, he lists a lot of stuff there, not just the machines, although I do think the machine thing is important, but it does seem like a red herring of sorts.
Well, the story that's being pitched right now certainly does seem like a red herring, and it seems like part of the same effort to lead us into a war with Venezuela on false pretenses, which is the sort of thing that our neocons have been doing forever. So I don't think that any of that is surprising. The timing seems to work, but you know, this story is going to pass by. This is not going to convince the country that election fraud happened. If you don't already believe that, you're certainly not going to be convinced by this story. That's how I should say it.
Good point.
But yeah, all those other things have to be addressed. And if all those things about our election system have gone wrong, then our election system isn't just a little bit stolen. There's not like one way that they got enough votes, but otherwise everything was counted and recorded properly, and then power was legitimately conferred on the people now representing us in many cases. None of that stuff happened. And Trump knows that none of that stuff happened, but it seems to stop at Trump. After that, everybody who talks about election fraud, including the people from quote unquote our side, have their little angle on it, or they're trying to get this or that fixed, or they're analyzing it in one or another way. It's all across the board. The entire system was designed specifically to prevent having legitimate elections. We don't have real elections. If an election is not like where the voters vote, one person, one vote, that vote gets properly recorded, all the votes get added together and then properly reported, and then the real winner gets put in office, that's not an election. If that stuff's not happening legitimately, then we are in a self-deluding psyop. And I think, we talked about a lot of this last week. I don't want to rehash all of it, but that's where we are. The good thing is when this op just vanishes into the wind, which it already is doing, at some point, people are going to understand, okay, our elections are fraudulent, our elections are fake, however people are able to come to terms with that in their own minds. And at some point, you got to look around and say, who is actually talking about this? Who is being honest about these situations and what they really mean? Because that, we can look 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, maybe it takes all the way through to the midterms, but there's, I would expect, and I don't know this, everybody can obviously decide for themselves and speak for themselves, but I would suspect a bunch of us at Badlands are going to be talking throughout next year about why the midterms don't actually matter the way the television is saying that they do. And so to consider that Badlands' voice has gradually been growing now for a few years, and we expect it'll continue growing as long as we keep, trying to bring the truth to light and taking responsibility and for what we say and what we think, and then presenting that. We're going to be the people next year saying, actually, these elections are fake beforehand. And that is a position that the establishment on neither side can actually deal with.
Yeah. And that's the position we took leading into the election this last time in 2024. And all these other people that do
a lighter version of it, though. There were a lot of people still thinking, oh, let's vote, this is going to work.
That's true. I mean, I will say, while I understood the elections were fake, it was a difficult thing to maneuver because so many people were like,
yep,
how dare you tell me not to participate in these fraudulent elections? And it was tough to navigate for sure. But when a lot of people talk about election fraud in our movement, they'll talk about it, but then they'll be like, as long as we, our elections are fake and all this stuff, or, they're stolen, but as long as we register enough voters with Scott Pressler, we'll win the midterms. Like they'll caveat, if they even talk about election fraud at all, they'll caveat it by, we just need the wine mom people out to vote and we'll be fine. And it keeps us in the system. I'm curious what you think the goal of this Emerald Robinson thread is, because I haven't had your perspective on it. I think it started, what was it, Wednesday or Tuesday? Mm-hmm. I listened to Colonel Towner. She was on with Brian and Ash on Why We Vote, and she had a pretty good perspective on it. The fact they had CIA people being interviewed with Laura Logan, and they're the ones that are participating in this, and it just, this whole thing reeks of some form of op. And you could probably, there's probably multiple reasons they're trying to do this thing right now, but I'm curious what your perspective is on the op. It's clearly an op. There's no doubt about this is some form of op. Do you think they're trying to, is the red herring to get us to just invade Venezuela, and once we do that, our elections are going to be fine moving forward and we can stay in the system? What is your perspective on it?
Well, I'd say that's in short, I'd say it's something along those lines. I didn't see the interview with Colonel Towner, so I can't comment on that at all. But I think the march to war with Venezuela is certainly part of it, at least as far as the story is concerned. And if you wanted to bring in a new election system and still have the people believing largely in elections, you'd give them a one size fits all solution or explanation first for what happened, and then the solution going forward that seems like it would have already been chosen. So keeping elections going in the first place is a necessity from a regime perspective, a uniparty perspective. They need the election narrative each and every year, because that's what keeps people attached to partisan politics and prevents them from, recognizing and then actually dealing with the uniparty. Because until we accept that it's a uniparty and that the elections don't actually matter and aren't actually real, we can't get down to the foundational levels of what this problem actually is. Problem's a lot deeper than people would like to admit. And if we could simply fix our elections by changing one thing and like getting the Congress to pass some law, which by the way, is not even how they're going to get fixed. Like that's not even a possibility.
And so we end the filibuster, Chris, haven't you heard?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But I mean, the idea that we're going to legislate our way out of this with people who can't even prove that they were elected in the first place. At some point, we have to understand that if a system is designed specifically to keep the designers of that system in power forever and to exploit the people who aren't on their team, and even many of the people who are on their team, by the way, they don't care if they're exploiting their own supporters. But if that's what the system is, then the solution can't come from within the system.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've said that for a long time. We've said variations of this for a long time.
Sure.
The primary beneficiaries of our fraudulent election system cannot be the ones relied upon to fix the fraudulent election system. It makes no sense. And that can't be the case. And I don't believe Trump thinks that's the case either, which again, Trump is the one that's doing all these, he's the one I'm willing to give the leeway to is consistently running these psyops. It makes this Venezuela thing interesting. There's a timeline of some of the Venezuela stuff I want to go through from an old article. The CIA element involved in, they're putting forth this op with the voting machines, and Venezuela's been the ones doing it. Do you remember like a month ago, Trump gave the CIA and John Ratcliffe a green light to go after Venezuela? Yet Emerald Robinson in her thread is like, John Ratcliffe is the enemy. The CIA is the enemy. Let me show you where we're at on this thread. I think we're on this one. Right after she was on with Alex Jones. I think we read this one on, I think this is the last one from Wednesday. I'll read it again. The CIA didn't want a report showing it hid evidence of China interfering in the 2020 election because that means the CIA is compromised by our enemies. Were the fake January 6 riots created to hide this damning report? Ratcliffe delayed its release till January 7th. How deeply is the CIA involved in stealing America's elections? Per my sources, former CIA Director John Brennan is part owner of a data center used by Dominion voting systems in Serbia, and Ratcliffe has done nothing about it. That asshole. I can't believe he hasn't done anything about it yet. Let's skip ahead. She got mad at Benny Johnson for reading her tweets on air without having her on for an interview.
I mean, watching the influencer class eat each other alive is pretty funny, to be honest. I love it.
Dumb. 33. So who is actually running the CIA right now while Ratcliffe does nothing? According to my sources, Obama's CIA chief John Brennan is still in charge. How's that possible? Because his allies and subordinates were never fired at Langley, and Trump has not arrested Brennan. I don't know if that logically follows based on some of the things we've seen so far this year, but we'll keep going. Trump has also failed to staff the DOJ properly. I'm told Pam Bondi still lives in Florida and flies up to D.C. for press conferences. She allows Todd Blanche to run the DOJ, and he's a Democrat. Blanche's number 2, Stanley Woodward, is also a Democrat. That's why the DOJ is such a mess. Holy cow. How bad is Todd Blanche? Trump's own personal lawyer, Peter Tickton, told me on TV that Blanche is blocking Trump's entire agenda inside the DOJ. How does Tickton know this? He's the lead attorney for Tina Peters.
Oh, that nails it down.
Tina Peters is not a federal criminal, meaning Trump's DOJ really can't do anything, we're told, to do you know who broke the Ottopan story? That was Emerald Robinson.
No. Who is this Gabby Loves character?
Gabby Katsia. I've actually interviewed her a few times.
Yeah, you have, yeah.
But it's all about her. Thank you, Emma Robinson. She already said she's welcome.
Wait, the auto pen thing didn't come out till July. Is that what she's saying?
Maybe I'd have to go
So
back.
she was the first person to roll out that auto pen story, huh?
I don't know if it was that. I'd have to go watch. I know Gabby, like when the auto pen story first broke, I actually had her on the show because I had her on the show a few times. And she talked about, I mean, she used to work in the White House and run the auto pen for Obama back in the day.
Oh, okay.
So she had some good insight on how it works.
That definitely makes it sound more like a long running op.
Could be. Definitely. How bad is Todd Blanche? He tried to stop the good guys from debriefing the head of Venezuela's military intelligence under Hugo Chavez earlier this year. How long ago was Chavez in there?
Man, I don't know when he left, but Maduro's been in there, I think, for at least a decade.
There are rumors that Maduro is prepared to flee to Turkey in a private plane.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that, Chris?
Oh yeah, that's the big story of tonight. All the rumors on Twitter about how he's fleeing the country.
Yeah, I was accused in a recent lawsuit that I would also flee the country if I ever got in legal trouble, even though I don't have a passport.
Wait, really?
Yeah, didn't I tell you?
I don't remember that part.
Oh yeah, it's part of the
hysterical.
Part of the.
And honestly, that's not the dumbest claim in there. It actually gets worse after that.
Yeah, and then worse before that too. But yeah, and so that we're caught up now. So Venezuela, we are on the verge of invading. We're told. Trump started the year. He actually it was even before Trump, didn't they? Let me find this timeline.
By the way, Chavez passed in 2013, and Maduro took over at that point.
Okay, that's right. So this is just the timeline of Trump's term, okay? And there's also a timeline going back to like the 90s with Chavez and when he first got in there. But Maduro sworn in for a third term after disputed elections. The U.S. rejects the outcome, reiterating allegations of election fraud, which is so funny just because you think of like 2020 and what happened and how we condemned anybody questioning the elections, but we just do it to everybody else if we don't get one of our own guys in there.
Yep.
Trump returns to power. The U.S. revokes the temporary protected status. Trump administration designates Tren de Aragua a foreign terrorist organization. Caracas agree. We'll skip that. Tariffs. Doubles the reward for his arrest. Maritime anti-narcotics campaign. We start bombing these boats, and we get the video footage of it, and it's super entertaining, fun to watch. Trump posts about them every single time. Trump confirmed he authorized the CIA to carry out secret operations in Venezuela. Oh yeah, this is the part that I thought was funny from the Emily Robinson thread. They're making like John Brennan runs the CIA. Ratcliffe is terrible. We have a CIA guy there telling the story about how Venezuela is the one that steals everybody's elections in 72 countries for the last 20 years. So they control everything everywhere. And yet Trump is sending the CIA in to run ops in that country too. Like I don't know where it is exactly, but there seems to be a contradiction in there somewhere.
Well, all of it's a bit of a mess, just assuming that anything that comes out of Venezuela is somehow either directly a product of Hugo Chavez's action or Nicolas Maduro's action. So that's like immediately the first problem. It's entirely possible that there are elements in Venezuela. In fact, I think we have good reason to believe that there are elements in Venezuela who are involved in the narcotics trade and who are involved in the efforts to, rig elections or falsify elections or however you want to see it. I have no doubt there's terrible people there, and that computer programs get routed through Venezuela and get routed through these other countries around the world, China, Serbia, whatever it might be. I mean, you can route internet traffic through anywhere. And most of this comes back to the Smartmatic software being designed there. There was a issue in the Philippines with the same thing a few years back. I think it was the 2019 election. And there's been a lot of development on that over the last few years. And I would have to review the story in particular to remember the exact details. But you have to I mean, I call it good twin, evil twin, but you really do have to look at that element and understand that these elements exist in all our countries. We have, I believe, a foreign occupation in the United States of America. So when we're talking about a foreign element to the election, well, if a transnational corporation is involved and that transnational corporation is operating for the benefit of the foreign occupation of the global regime, well, then that is a foreign element constituting foreign interference in our election, even if it's based in America and staffed by Americans. So I think it's always important to keep that stuff in mind when you're thinking about responsibility and saying, oh, it's Venezuela who's responsible for this or that.
Yeah, I like that. Couple more parts here, some more traits. Venezuela launches nationwide military drills. U.S. announces Southern Spear mission as forces deploy near South America. This is this month now. U.S. deploys the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald Ford, other warships, thousands of troops, and F-35 stealth jets to the Caribbean. And then just a few days ago, the FAA issues a notice to air missions warning airlines of hazards in Venezuelan airspace due to heightened military activity, including GPS interference. Airlines suspend flights to Venezuela. And I think didn't Trump have a comment on this too?
Well, he definitely posted about it on Truth Social last night. That comment immediately when he posted that, I was like, this makes it sound like airlines are transporting drugs in and out of Venezuela. And that's entirely possible.
That makes total sense that they would be. I mean, especially if the boats are getting shot down.
Yep. Yeah. So if they are making up for the smuggling by sea with smuggling by air, and he's calling them out on that, that would seem to fit pretty well.
This is an interesting one. So let me pull this up. The Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 212. Oh, this isn't even the one I wanted to read, but this will still be a good one because actually I want to save this. I first want to talk more so about like some of the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter from Congress and other people are like that the president does not have the authority to declare war. That's like the debate that is ongoing on Twitter right now. And since you're not on Twitter, I figured I'd fill you in. But that's the debate going on Twitter right now, is whether or not Trump even has the authority to do what he's doing in Venezuela without getting congressional approval. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on that too.
Well, I mean, I think we've talked a number of times about the president's leeway when it comes to being commander in chief, and that it's essentially total. Especially in this situation, we're already in a state of emergency. Trump has called himself a wartime president a number of times. And, you know, to the extent that he can provide a justification to say that we've somehow been attacked or invaded by these countries, I mean, I guess, okay. It doesn't seem like there's that predicate in this situation. Talking about drug boats in international waters, I guess we're probably in a different circumstance as far as the legal stuff goes. But unless they are directly threatening America, I don't think that this is the sort of thing we should be involved with. I mean, it's one of those things that there is so much kind of cultural incentive if you are, you know, quote unquote on the right or call yourself a conservative or you're a Republican or whatever, to never seem like you are making the case for what has been defined on the television as our enemy. You are never turning down an opportunity to say that you want to go to war, because saying that you want to go to war somehow seems like you're tough and a realist. And that's, you know, going to make you look like you're not messing around. You're ready to take it to the left and all that nonsense. I mean, people really do act like that, though. You know, we wanted to bomb the shit out of Iran. Now we want to bomb the shit out of Venezuela. You just want to bomb all these places because saying that you want to bomb a place makes you sound like a tough guy. It's like all the reactions after the paragliding go-kart incident, where people like Kurt Schlichter were like, blast the desert.
Whatever happened to him? Is he still?
I don't know. Probably still DeSantis simping.
Yeah, I guess I have not seen what's going on with Schfinkter in a while. But you're right. You know, to be a conservative and America first, I guess, anyway, like the new part of the new mega split and how they're using this Venezuela op against Trump is America first doesn't mean invading a foreign country and all these other things. And I get the argument behind it too. It's an effective one in a lot of ways, because there are people that kind of fallen for it. There are so many anti-Trump ops going on right now, and I would argue like the left side, their ops against Trump, they haven't changed. They're consistent. They're all dumb. No surprise there. Nothing new. Nothing shocking. The ones that are more difficult to parse through, I guess, are the ones coming from the right. All these people that are supposedly, mega Trump, and some of even the heroes of our movement, people that we've looked to and given a lot of grace to, and all these things, for whatever reason, they're participating in that. And this is one of my points from my show on Thursday. When it comes to irregular warfare, it's a battle for the narrative, and it's all about the hearts and minds, and the ultimate purpose of it is it's a battle for legitimacy. And I write about this in my articles. If you are successfully implementing irregular warfare against your opponent, you are delegitimizing them in some form or fashion, or pushing the legitimacy of somebody else. And right now, the left has been consistently pushing to delegitimize Trump for a long time, very long time. And right now, there are people on the right that are doing the same thing. They are working with our enemies and pushing, from different angles, but they're still working to delegitimize Trump by calling him stupid and incompetent, like Emerald Robinson and people in her orbit. And I think that's something that we need to start acknowledging that and calling people out when they're doing that, because that is not helping Trump. Telling Trump that he is stupid and doesn't know who he's hiring, and like all these different things, and telling him what he needs to do, and if he does these things, it's going to fix all the problems. You're not actually making things better. You are working with the enemy to delegitimize him. Does that make sense?
100% it makes sense. Yeah, they're trying to remove Trump and replace him with themselves. And this is something that we've seen now for years. People got really upset at me for going after this stuff in the fall of 2022, once the DeSantis thing went live. And it was, you are breaking unity. Can't you see this is kayfabe? These people are our allies. We need to unify so that we can win elections. All of that was bullshit. And these same people are coming back around to do it again. And they've done it in cycles throughout the last 10 years. They will align with Trump when their interests are aligned, and they will try to seem like our best friends. They will seem like they are the true conservatives because they will get Trump's back when their interests align. And then as soon as their interests don't align, they go full on anti-Trump, say that it's because they're objective, they're more serious, they're more informed, and that they are the true conservatives, the true Republicans, and that all of MAGA should get in line with them and agree that Trump is the bad guy in this certain instance. Otherwise, we're the cultists. And we've seen that now for 3 years. There are a bunch of different brands operating under that strategy. And you see, Trump is sold out to Israel, or Trump is not smart enough to put good people around him, or Trump's not giving the television characters that he put in the administration enough leeway, or Trump's not going to go to war, or Trump is going to go to war. It's always an attempted delegitimization of Trump, no matter what it was. And it's not that I am trying to make the case that I have this undying and blind faith to anything that Donald Trump does. That's certainly not the case. But he is, if there is something going on, which we have made the case for now for years, well, Donald Trump's the face of that thing. Yeah. So it makes sense if he is the focal point. Even if he's a bad guy, he's still the focal point. Everybody's focused on Donald Trump. Yeah. So if you are not paying attention to how things relate to Trump and how Trump relates to those things, that's probably the strongest signal we can get. And the idea that when Trump gets the benefit of the doubt, that should be extended to anybody who has ever said something nice about Donald Trump, because we have identified those people as our allies based on those statements, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. It is not our purpose. And for Christians, it's not even something that we are supposed to do. Like, we're not supposed to have faith in powerful strangers on the internet. And it is crazy that we do, and that we delegate our thinking to these people who we've never met and who we can see right in front of us right now are telling are making false claims to thousands and thousands of people at a time on a nonstop basis. I don't know why we are giving these people the space to do that. And, we don't ultimately know the status of all this stuff.
Yeah.
So if it turns out that they were actually lying for a good cause, which I'm not sure is a real thing, but if it turns out that way, we can say, hey, you know what? I'm glad you did that. Thank you for your service. Thank you for allowing people to say things that that question your integrity and honesty. I'm sorry to do that, but hey, man, you are telling mistruths to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people at once. It's kind of our purpose. I mean, at least it's one of my driving purposes to get people to stop lying to those friends and family members of mine who maybe don't have the time or don't have the discernment or are too caught up in the cultural incentive and punishment structure to make good decisions about this stuff. Yeah. I don't want to see people lied to. I don't want to be lied to. And one thing I'm definitely not going to do this far into this is defend powerful strangers while they lie to me.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point. And we've had this discussion before many times. It's the morality of can you really call these people the good guys if they're not telling you the truth? And I don't know at what point you can. Somebody, I don't know if I want to call him out directly because he's one of our Badlands, but we have our private chats, we have our debates and stuff. And something he said was, he said the bad guys lie or tell the truth 80% of the time, and they lie 20% of the time. The good guys lie or tell the truth 20% of the time and lie 80% of the time. He basically said that the good guys are lying to us more than the bad guys. It's just the bad guys' lies are much more damaging or something. And that's been stuck with me all day since I read it, because I was like, to me, those aren't, it doesn't, if you're lying to me more than the other person, I trust you less. You are worse to me. And maybe it's even that is not, the good guys shouldn't be lying to us, even though they are. I know they're constantly conducting these psyops, but at some point, I think you're the one who's kind of coined the term of the point is not getting hoodwinked at all.
Oh yeah.
And I think the ultimate form of not getting hoodwinked is the people stop trying to hoodwink us. And the only way we get them to stop trying to hoodwink us is to not fall for the hoodwinks in the first place. And so it's like this vicious cycle. What comes first, the hoodwinking or the falling for the hoodwinking? And eventually, we have to break free of that cycle, and they're not going to be the ones to stop that. I don't think it is ultimately up to us, but we still sit here and we take these Emerald Robinson threads and the Patrick Burns of the world who are attached to them, and we just take them and they're clearly telling us the truth. Even though there's not a single shred of documentation or evidence or receipt or anything attached to it. It's a good story. It's got a boat sailing through a storm, the Three Musketeers. There's nothing wrong about it. So I'm going to just take it as at face value and go with it. When really from the outset, it should be this entire thing is bullshit until you prove it otherwise. But I haven't seen that done yet. And there's multiple other people in our movement that are deserving of the same criticism, including us. We should be held to that same standard, but you should apply it to everybody. And we don't do that for a lot of people in the movement.
Yeah. I have said many times on my show and in my chats and stuff, I don't need or want people to trust me. I really don't. The things I say should stand whether or not people find me trustworthy. I don't want people's trust. I want people to be skeptical in the things that I say and disbelieve them. I'm totally comfortable with that. Okay. I want people to think for themselves about these situations. And the way to put yourself in the right balanced relationship with these stories is to understand, they are stories. We're not just being told things that happen. We're being told narratives. Okay. The idea that we are just getting all real news or mostly real news, or perhaps even any real news, that has to be dismissed just to put yourself in the right relationship with these issues. We have to maintain that extreme skepticism at all times. You withhold belief and see what happens. And to do that is not to make a positive case that this or that is fake, though it might be, because the truth is it's not that hard to fake things and to hoodwink people. And it's not even that hard to hoodwink truthers. Truthers spend time hoodwinking themselves and each other just so that they don't have to say something that might contradict one of these particular characters who are seen as like untouchable heroes of the movement, despite not really having done anything that anyone knows about. They were just in the story back at that really important time where we decided who all our best friends on TV were, you know? So I'm with you in terms of the approach to that stuff. In terms of the 80-20 line to telling the truth, it doesn't even matter if it's like, if the same framing was used and the good guys are telling 80% truth and 20% lies. Again, the point is not getting hoodwinked at all.
Yeah.
When are we going to try just telling the truth and seeing if the people can actually just do that and then set things on the proper course? Like, I don't know about you, but I didn't start doing this so that I could replace one group of powerful liars with another group of powerful liars who are basically pursuing the same programming under different branding. I don't want to switch brands. That's not the point.
No, I started this to sell lotion, basically. Disclosure.com.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. And who decided for us that, like, I hate that justification of like, well, you know, they've always been lying to you, but now in order to like us to get out of it. And I've used this justification before too. So I understand how stupid it is. And I've changed my mind on it. It's the fact that, like, in order to break free of it, we have to tell you more lies. And, you know, some are really good, some are going to be bad, but we're doing them for the right reasons. But like, why, when did they start lying to us in the first place? Why can't we ever just, what happens, Chris, or what would have happened if the day one, the white hats got control or whatever, right? From that perspective, if they would just rip the entire Band-Aid off, exposed everything, all the arrests, all the things that we've been promised are coming. It fixed our elections, fixed our economic system, all the tribunals done and all that stuff. How much bullshit could we have avoided these last 10 years?
Well, maybe, but I could also, I'm totally open to the case where that would have devolved into total society-wide chaos because the system is so deeply enmeshed in everything we do. So I'm
but is that always
that
a
argument.
risk, though?
Well, I mean, if you're going to lay all of it on everybody at once, then maybe. I mean, at the end of 2020, going into 2021, after the very deadly pandemic and all of the summer of love stuff, I mean, they had kind of created a tinderbox in society. And so I'm not totally opposed to the idea that these things need to happen more slowly, but letting the truth come out slowly is entirely different than never-ending psyops. And again, if we're going to put ourselves in the proper balance with what we're dealing with, if we're going to make ourselves able to be self-governing, to have a government of by and for the people, well, we got to know that there are powerful people trying to trick us and refuse to get tricked. And we can still be successful in exposing election fraud or whatever the issue is. The public can still learn the truth on that stuff without these elaborate psyops. That's what I would say. And maybe there was indication, people who have followed Q more than you and I have would say that I think Burning Bryce made this point a number of times, that there were internal discussions among that team about what the balance was on that stuff. And I'm totally accepting if I am too far on the other side. Okay. I have no problem with that. And people get upset about that. Somebody has to make those points, right? It's good, I think, even if we are wrong, to be making those points and asking those questions, because it helps us return to the perspective where if this is government of, by, and for the people, well, then the people have to know what the government's doing. And the government's information is actually the people's information. And you can't just keep making up lies and stories to tell us this stuff over and over again forever. I don't want to replace one set of hoodwinkers with another. But as we've said many times, maybe that's just the way the world is.
Yeah, and I'm going to take the devil's advocate, but even though I agree with you, I'm going to take the devil's advocate position more so on ripping the Band-Aid off, because while I understand, and again, my Devolution series, guys, when I wrote that, and I stand by all my work in there. I haven't changed a single thing that I've ever written about because I stand by it. I put a ton of receipts in there. My mindset at the time, I don't want it to change, like everything. The situation in the country, and the reason I believe Trump walked away when he did, is part the tinderbox, like you explained, right? There's 50% of the country, maybe the media had its teeth in a large portion, and at least we can say now that I would say the majority of that, the teeth have been removed. Like their impact, the mainstream media's impact, is not what it used to be, but I still think it's more prevalent than it should be. There were the Soros money, the funding, the Black Lives Matter, the Antifa, small scale civil war was a problem, and I think that was one of the reasons he walked away, was to avoid that. But then I'm looking at things right now, and I wonder, I'm wondering if it's really that much different outside of the media changing. I think there's still a small tinderbox in this country. Like I think that threat is there, and so I'm wondering, like from the devil's advocate position, what if he just sort of exposed it all then? I mean, this is the thing. Like they're making the decisions for us, and I know they have access to more information than anybody, but it's the moral question of at what point do these people, when they understand the point is not to get hoodwinked at all too, because I believe they know that. I believe if they really are the good guys and they're in this for benevolent reasons, they want the psyops to end too. And so if that's their goal, and I hope it is, like when are we going to start seeing that? Because if anything, I feel like the psyops, at least now, they're off the charts. They're as bad now as they've ever been.
Sure.
If not worse.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. And in terms of them ending, really, whose responsibility is that? And I would say ours. We can point out, this isn't true, this isn't true, this isn't true. And say, I don't know why this person is saying that. This person is seen as a good guy among our people, but he's clearly lying right now. And then we get called black pillars and stuff, and that's fine. But we have to be able to point these things out, because otherwise the psyops never end. If the people are going to continue getting hoodwinked forever, then the psyops are going to continue forever. And, to some extent, on a more fundamental level, the psyops are going to continue forever no matter what, because the battle of good versus evil is going to extend forever. And we might, have that pendulum swing back and forth between the power of good in a society and the power of evil in a society. And that can go on for all time. And I think it probably does. And that's kind of the repetition of this, this story. We've been told a million times that this period would be, God, I can't speak right now, would be biblical. And I totally believe that. It has many of the same elements that were recorded in the Bible from 2,000 years ago. And so we can see these things happening over and over again, because evil will extend all the way until it reaches a breaking point in society and people just eventually have enough of it. You go through this period of decadence. We are in a period of great decadence right now, the collapse of empires and the rest of it. So you would expect that pendulum to come back, but that's the people's responsibility. We got to just, let's simplify it. If it is the devil telling this story, no matter who the television characters are who are actually relaying it in English to us, if that's the story, our responsibility is to not believe that story and not allow our lives to be governed by that story, no matter how much we're incentivized to do so.
Yeah. So a couple of things you said there.
Okay.
Number one, you brought up the Bible, right? What is it? John 14:6. I'm the way, the truth, and the light. The truth is the infinite player on the game board. And this is something me and Bernie Bray talked about for a long time. To break away from forever psyops, all one side needs to do, like to stop the pendulum from swinging, is tell the truth.
Yep.
Like, and that's what I think, I'm waiting for. But there was a good comment in here from John. I know you're waiting for that too.
Can I pause you on that though? Yeah. For just a second? We have to do that at an individual level.
For sure.
And each one of us doing that at an individual level then creates a collective naturally of people who are committed to telling the truth. We can't expect that the however you define the side or the collective or whatever it is, we can't expect the truth to be implemented from the top down. It has to be implemented from the bottom up, because at the very, very top, the truth is already there,
For sure.
and it's accessible to us.
That's a great point. And something I was going to say too, these psyops, right? Like there are ops going on against Badlands right now. Like this stupid lawsuit, right? Something based in lies. At the end of the day, like it can cause economic damage, it can cause stress, it can cause a boatload of work, and it's doing all those things. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about any of it, because I have the truth on my side. Like I have recordings and all this stuff. Like there's not an ounce of me that's worried about that. And I think the white hats, at some point, I'm just repeating myself at this point. At some point, I just want to see the truth coming out. But there's a great comment I do want to get to from Q Alerts here. Okay. And this is something I brought up last night on Only Lands a little bit. I didn't quite go all in on it, but we've kind of been talking around it here tonight too. So Q Alert says, most of us think General Flynn is on the Q team. They say they serve at the pleasure of the president, but now he is urging POTUS to get moving, which would seem like Q team / POTUS not connected. Thoughts? My first question would be, when it comes to General Flynn, like I've met General Flynn, I spoke to General Flynn, and even like he's a patriot, good dude, as far as I know. I've never understood why he was thought to be part of the Q team. So, and I've not even read the drops. I could be speaking out of my ass here, but just from a logical perspective, like as soon as he became a target of the Obama administration, and they tried to get him out of there, and they used irregular warfare to do that too. That's my part 22. To me, it didn't make logical sense for him to be connected to whatever communications were going on with the team, because he was basically under surveillance. He was being politically persecuted, monitored. Like I felt like he was too hot of a target. And so to me, he was never like directly part of that team. If he was part of it before, maybe he's part of it now again. I mean, I think he's doing good work, but he's kind of like one of the guys connected to the burn thing that I don't understand. Like some of the narrative things that they're pushing in terms of irregular warfare, like I said earlier, they're pushing the narrative from the side of the enemy in terms of like they're working to delegitimize Trump. And I think that's worth pointing out. But again, he's one of those figures in the movement that you say anything like that, people will get up in arms about it. But I'm just being honest about the matter here from the way I see it. And I don't understand it. I'll say that I don't understand it.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. I think that everybody is open to questioning when they are put in a certain position. And, the software thesis, I think, is great at illustrating this, but the respect that we have for rank, I get why that's important in the military, but we are not in the military. We are civilians who have a responsibility to question what our politicians are doing and what the military is doing, even if we like the people running it. We don't know these people. These people are powerful strangers. We don't know them. It is a necessity for us to question what it is they're doing and be skeptical about what they're doing. And, it doesn't mean that we have to be disrespectful about it, but the idea that we can't question someone because they have achieved a certain rank in an organization we're not part of, sorry, that ain't how it works. Ranks are given out. And this is not some kind of secret. Military people talk about this. Civilians talk about it. It's talked about on television. There's all these generals now. Trump talks about the TV generals, all these people who wouldn't have been generals many years ago. I think there was like 7 4-star generals or something back in Patton's era. I don't know. Burning Bright and I looked this up when we were doing the Patton movie, however many months ago. I'm sure it's an easy answer. Someone in the chat probably knows it offhand. But with the expansion of the officer class, does that mean that we just have to extend a blind faith to everybody of that rank? Or is it only the people that we know because we've seen them on television and on social media and seen them aligning with us in different ways? So, some of this stuff is, and it sucks that this conversation is now focused in some way on General Flynn. I think that we should think of this in the abstract better to make the point. But
yeah,
the idea that we're going to assume that somebody's telling the truth because of their rank, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And I guess I'm not trying to pick on Flynn. It's Kuehlert's fault. We'll blame him. He's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, he was on Bannon this morning talking about color revolutions. I mean, that's something we've talked about for many years. He mentioned that a color revolution was run by the CIA in 2014 to overthrow Ukraine. I think that that's accurate as far as we can discern from the news that's out there. I mean, we're not in Ukraine, so who the hell knows? Yeah. But and here's the thing, certainly to know that.
And here's the thing too: if he is working on like a higher plan type thing that we're not aware of, he's obviously doing whatever he's doing for a reason, and it's a reason that we're not aware of. And so with all that being said, and this is something we criticize often, it's like how can we not be allowed to criticize a plan that we're not read in on, and he's not allowed to tell us about it? Like we absolutely have to be able to criticize that stuff. If we see something we don't agree with or doesn't sit well with us, if you keep your mouth shut, you're really just not telling the truth.
That's right. And one thing that we definitely, I mean, you can't say nothing can stop what is coming and then tell people that they are somehow going to mess up the possibility to achieve what is coming if nothing can stop it. So if they have that stuff covered to that degree on their level, and they're telling these stories just to entertain people while they slowly wake up, and I grant that all of that is a possibility. Sure, maybe it's that, but the idea that we just have to support that the whole time and should not be questioning it. Our questioning is not going to stop it from coming. So then we should be, as the people, figuring out how to give the people the most possible leverage and how to understand these situations well enough that we could actually handle them ourselves when the time comes. If they are handling the big stuff and they're doing all that and they're going to do what they're doing no matter what, A, it's already scripted and we have to be extra skeptical about their intentions. But B, we have different things to worry about, in which case being amplifiers of their message is not our role. It can't be our role. Plus, we should not be playing at the speed of those narratives because there are so many things not included in those narratives that we actually do need to be worried about.
Yeah, you're spot on, man. I think we should probably get to our next sponsor, and then we could choose from either, what are my other topics? The AutoPen story.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
So good.
I think we kind of already did the mega siding with the enemy in terms of the regular warfare. I think we already kind of covered the Venezuela. I know I had more topics, but I don't remember what they are. But let's get a quick sponsor read in here from Brickhouse Nutrition. Do doctors have Black Friday sales? The doctors at Brickhouse Nutrition do. They just announced their Black Friday 30% off sale, the biggest sale of the year. The most impressive health and nutrition products in the industry are now 30% off. Like Lean, the doctor-formulated weight loss supplement for people who want to lose meaningful weight without injections, and 30% off Creatine, creatine designed just for women to help you look leaner, in shape, and toned without extra dieting or exercise. Even 30% off Field of Greens, the only super fruit and vegetable drink shown in a university study to actually show slow aging. And only Field of Greens promises better health results your doctor will notice. Every Brickhouse product, from better sleep to superior collagen, is 30% off. But hurry, because these Black Friday deals go fast. Visit brickhousesale.com and save 30%. That's brickhousesale.com. One more time, brickhousesale.com. And by the way, guys, Christmas, I've been told, is coming soon. And don't be like me and be a last-minute shopper. Be like my girlfriend, who already has our Christmas shopping basically done, which I can safely say I've never had my Christmas shopping done before December ever. And now I can say I have. So get it done early and use the Black Friday deals to do so. But all right, man. Anything interesting in the chat?
I was scanning. This is not an insult to the chat if I say no. There are plenty of interesting things in there. I'm not sure that any are like, we should talk about that right now.
Question: how do you fix a corrupted system using said corrupted system? I would argue you can't, unless you just end the filibuster.
Yeah, that's the only. Nothing can stop what is coming except the filibuster. The
so
filibuster just delays what's coming.
That's why Trump is so funny. And some of the Q people, I know Q alerts in the chat. I haven't seen him in the chat a while, so it's good to see, man. It's like 5G warfare gives me a headache. You know what? So do some of the Q movement. They give me a headache because of stuff like that. All we need to do is end the filibuster, and everything we are promised will come. Oh, we could talk about this real quick too before we get to the
that and the Smith-Mundt Act.
Yeah, the Smith Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 212F. Whenever the president finds that the entry of any aliens or of any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may, by proclamation and for such period as he shall deem necessary, suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose on the entry of aliens any restrictions he may deem appropriate. And there was talk of Trump totally shutting down immigration, which is funny because just like, what was it? It was 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, maybe. Everybody on the internet, on the Twitterverse, lost their minds because Trump said, "Oh, we do need immigrants to come. We need it. We need lots of immigrants to come here. We need as many immigrants as we can get because we can't build our own things." And then this week, he's gone the complete opposite end of the spectrum, like we said he would. He's like, "I'm going to shut down all immigration, no immigration whatsoever from anywhere at all, ever." Isn't that funny how that works out? You called it.
I don't know if it was me, but
we'll give you credit. Take the credit when it's given, Chris.
Well, thanks. I'm not short on credit. I'm all good. The immigration thing, they are going hard at it now. They're saying that this is what Trump is going to be remembered for. This is the greatest thing he's ever done. Maybe I would like to see all that happen. The strangest thing about the immigration thing, though, is that this is maybe we're near the end. I'm not sure it's the end, but this is the closing of a loop that was opened 8 years ago or more. You know, we had the initial Muslim ban. I think that was in Trump's first year of the first term, and we had the court decisions that went off that. Then we had the Afghanistan withdrawal in 2021, and that was the inciting incident of this particular narrative. And it was a very strange inciting incident too, because we had so much ridiculous bullshit attached to that. The first thing being the ridiculous video of the plane as it took off, supposedly the last plane out of Kabul, with all these people hanging onto the wheel wells. Trump even took a printout of that picture with hundreds of people in the back of supposedly a C-17. I mean, I remember everybody was making fun of that picture back when it happened. And now we're being told this is how the National Guard shooter terrorist came into the country. That's crazy.
Yeah. Like you're telling me I can't have my seat leaned back when we're landing, but they can do this with a bunch of immigrants? Is that for real?
Gosh, that's so crazy.
I think my favorite is the guy in the back standing there.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
leaning on the wall.
Well, there's also a bunch of dudes on their cell phones and stuff. Everybody looks pretty chill. That whole thing was a mess. And, you know, then we go Joe Biden to the airstrip to bring down the caskets of the 13 dead from the attack outside the gate to the airport. And again, I don't have to deny that the attack happened to know that the story as we're dealing with it is very strange. And there are a lot of signs that it's very strange. You remember Joe Biden checking the watch. And so all that stuff then culminates in this shooting, that the response to that, more National Guard to DC, we're going to shut down immigration specifically from Muslims. Well, that comes up at a perfect time because we're getting from the entire Zionist contingent a huge push to convince us that Muslims are the greatest threat. I'm not saying that Muslims love us. I'm not saying that the immigration problems in Dearborn and Houston and wherever else are not a problem, but you can see the info op going on for a reason to say, hey guys, I know things are getting pretty serious. I know you're starting to not like some of the people that we really need you to go along with. So what we're going to do is give you that Middle Eastern enemy again and a full dose of that to make sure that everybody knows if there's one thing that's not compatible with Christian America, it's Islam. Okay, well, you know what's not compatible with Christianity? Anything that's not Christianity. You know, it's either You accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, or you don't. And I'm not even making a case for Christian nationalism right now. I'm just saying that everyone who rejects Jesus is the same. Okay.
Yeah.
So why is it like, oh, we're going to focus on these people who reject Jesus and not the people whose foundational beliefs are pinned to the rejection of Jesus? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's because these people have weapons of mass destruction, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's why. Yeah, that was an interesting situation this week with the National Guardsmen. I mean, the 2 National Guardsmen got shot. I think one's still in critical condition. One passed away. Did I see a story this week that somebody in Israel Googled the person who died, the female, like 4 days before the shooting?
I did see that as well. I didn't run that down at all, but that sounds like the sort of thing that can happen and the patterns that we've been seeing. And why are those things happening? Is that an accident? Someone in the intel community in Israel made these searches and didn't cover their tracks well enough so that some guy on the internet could figure it out? I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, I mean, people are pointing to this. Let me share my screen here.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, 'cause part of it's been scrubbed, or they're saying it's scrubbed. So did it even happen in the first place? I don't know, but this is what they're pointing to, saying that 4 days before the assassination in Tel Aviv, they were Googling this person's name. Don't know. Was somebody running a certain computer and did it after the fact? Is it even real? I don't know. But there's
difficult to like try to get something real out of this.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't remember what I was even going to say. Just the whole thing is ridiculous. The timing of it too, in terms of like I want to say benefits for Trump, but the benefits for Trump in terms of like the optics of getting more National Guard in DC, asking for a stay on the order that was issued by the federal judge, now shutting down all immigration. I don't know, man. It reeks of a psyop. Whether it was a real or fake event, the psyops surrounding it are a-flowing heavy.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of writing something about the indictments, another of which was just dropped this week. You know, the Fannie Willis
one
down in Georgia. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so I was looking back and I actually had you send me the video of the So Indicted clip from GART in 2023. So that's, 2 years and almost 3 months old now. And we just got the last one of these indictments has disintegrated at this point. And we could have spent zero time following those and come to the same point as the people who followed it for the entire time up till now, thinking it was all real. And people would say, well, come on, there are people whose lives were affected with these legal situations spinning out from these indictments. And I agree that that is something that happened. The thing is, the system running the PSYOP controls all those various mechanisms. They control the media. They control the judicial system. They are the people who license the attorneys in the first place. All of this stuff is part of the system and its apparatus, the state's apparatus. And if they can control every node in that system, then they can use them all in concert to create these situations. So they can generate an indictment from nothing with novel legal theories founded on these white papers by Norm Eisen at the Brookings Institution. And the fact that they have enough attorneys and enough friendly judges to make a few people's lives hell by dealing with the legal system and making them spend money to defend themselves and filing all these papers, wasting 2+ years of their lives. I'm not saying that none of that stuff happened and that that's not impossible, but the parts of the story that affect things in the real world and real people's lives, those things are happening for the benefit of the story. It's not the other way around where all the events are true and then we're being told the story about those true events. We're being told a story that they want to tell, and real people are affected to the extent they need that real world effect to support the story.
It has me thinking now, have we seen a single person from either side, the good guys or the bad guys side, who's been part of like the entire psyop, either way, that's been indicted, that's actually gone to jail. And I know people are going to say Tina Peters, that's a state one. I'm talking like the federal stuff that's been going on, like from the Russiagate stuff to what Trump did in response with the, election stuff, any of it. Not a single person has gone to jail yet. And even the indictments that our side has put out there has fallen apart. They've been dismissed because of the Lindsey Halligan thing, which that is so stupid too. I mean, it's a cop-out indictment in the first place, in my opinion. I think he should be indicted for much worse offenses. But the way it was handled and them saying that, there wasn't the authority to put her in as the U.S. attorney in whatever, New Jersey. I mean, the whole thing.
Isn't that what happened with Jack Smith, though?
Well, Jack Smith was a little different because he wasn't a U.S. attorney. But I mean, it's essentially the same thing, same principle.
Yeah.
And Thomas argued that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think that is, I think that's probably the key there. And those indictments, we kind of talked about them briefly and moved on when they happened because there wasn't much to them and there wasn't much to believe about those charges in the first place. Lying to Congress. Congress is itself a lie. So what are we even talking about here? And I know that people want to see justice and see these people punished, but fake indictments aren't the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. But it is interesting. I'm curious, like you'd think there'd be a legal situation surrounding the Lindsey Halligan appointment.
Yeah.
Like, is this going to be another, work its way up to SCOTUS where a president cannot, appoint somebody as district attorney? I guess technically was it Pam Bondi who appointed her or something? And that's the reason they said it didn't stand. I didn't read the full paperwork on that one.
That was basically the same situation with Garland and Jack Smith, right?
Yes. There's that one's a little more technical because he wasn't appointing him to a U.S. attorney. He was appointing him as a special counsel. And at the time, he wasn't a U.S. attorney or something. Right. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and read Thomas's.
I think that's how I recall it.
Yeah. It was something along those lines. And Thomas's opinion on that was great. I mean, we did a show on it. I don't remember the exact details of it, but it's essentially the same thematic principle of it. So it does make it a little more interesting. But then you'd think, they would have known that. And so why did they do it in the first place? Not to lend credence to the Comey's a white hat guy, because he could be, but I don't buy into that theory personally. But anyway, Banasek found it, says the lawfare shit has really pissed me off because judges are all such fucking prima donnas. Yeah. But we just keep playing ball, don't we? The whole system needs to be.
The system is an abstraction and it relies on our belief in it. It doesn't exist without our belief. And I know that that's a lot for people to wrap their heads around, but you withhold your belief, you withdraw your consent, you declare this thing illegitimate at every opportunity in personal situations, on the internet, wherever it comes up. And, the way to get rid of an abstraction is to stop believing in it. People are unwilling to do that because the implications are much broader than just simply a certain claim being thought of as false rather than true. It really goes to how we form beliefs in the first place and how we have directed our time.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like one of my regrets right now is, the situation I'm in, going through the legal system and seeing firsthand like how ridiculous it can be, is why did I even, and I don't know how I would have done it, but like, why did I even participate in this at all? Like, I don't know how you just opt out of a lawsuit against you. You know what I mean? But I wish I would have considered that option a little more, because the whole thing is just so ridiculous and ridiculously expensive and all that. It's just so dumb.
A total waste of time and a heinous attack on public image, credibility, a brand, etc. Yeah, but you can use the legal system to do that if you, as a truther, want to grovel to the state and beg the state to solve the problems that you caused and can't solve yourself.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And people buy into it and participate in it willingly. E.H. Kyle, John, the first district attorney resigned. He had time left on his appointment, so they put the new district attorney in to finish up, and it was Trump told Bondi who to hire. So it's because he had more time left? See, I feel like that doesn't make sense. Because I feel like even if somebody has more time in their appointment, the president at any point can remove who he wants. Like they serve at his pleasure, don't they? Let's talk about the auto pen a little bit, because this story has been, I mean, popping up for a couple months now, like in and out. It's a rerun of sorts. This one seems a little more exciting because Trump made a pretty good statement on it. If I can find it here. When was that statement? That was just like last 2 days ago. Last night?
I think it was, or yesterday. Sorry. I think it was during the day yesterday. It wasn't on Thanksgiving, and it wasn't before, because then you and BB would have talked about it.
That's true. Okay, here it is. This is the comment he put on Truth Social. Any document signed by sleepy Joe Biden with the auto pen, which was approximately 92% of them, is hereby terminated and of no further force or effect. The auto pen is not allowed to be used if approval is not specifically given by the President of the United States. The radical left lunatics circling Biden around the beautiful Resolute desk in the Oval Office took the presidency away from him. I am hereby canceling all executive orders and anything else that was not directly signed by crooked Joe Biden, because the people who operated the auto pen did so illegally. Joe Biden was not involved in the auto pen process, and if he says he was, he will be brought up on charges of perjury. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I love the perjury comment, especially.
That is very strange, that perjury business. I mean,
yeah,
we can try to speculate ways that might be a true and accurate statement, but it seems oddly placed, let's say. We could go back to the first time we ever talked about the auto pen and see that something like this was predicted and predictable from way back then. Joe Biden was not president. Joe Biden was a fake president. You know, we said that the entire time. We evaluated the so-called presidency of Joe Biden with that in mind. I mean, I remember talking about on my show 3+ years ago, I don't remember when exactly it was, when Ketanji Brown Jackson was nominated by the fake president Joe Biden for her role as fake Supreme Court justice, and said at the time, Joe Biden does not have the authority to nominate anybody to the Supreme Court and put anybody on the Supreme Court. And every time there's a case in front of her, I say, hey, that's not a legitimate Supreme Court justice. Why? Because she's not. All of them should be removed, and all of them have to be removed. And fine, we're going to do the auto pen thing as an explanatory layer for people, or it's possible that that explanatory layer was a story that was going to run without Trump there, and Trump is just making use of that story for his own purposes. He's taking it over and leading it in another direction. But at the end of the day, that's not a presidency. None of that can be allowed to stand. It's funny, too, because the one thing that he says every time was actually legitimate is the Hunter Biden part.
Yeah, that is interesting. And that's actually one of the storylines that I would be most excited to see re-upped again. And I think it needs to be at some point, the Biden corruption stuff, because I think that involves it unravels a lot of the corruption that our political elites from both sides do. Somebody in the chat made a comment of, wait, these two guys still believe in the two-party scam? We don't. And that's one of the funny things about this auto pen scandal is by pushing this psyop, and I think it's a red herring. I think it's great. It's a narrative layer, like you said, to, and this is why Trump is participating in it, to explain how, in one form or fashion, Biden is illegitimate. But also it's being pushed by the right, the Con Inc. right, and the establishment in Congress and the Senate on the right. And this is a way to, in one way, legitimize Biden's election by delegitimizing him through the use of the auto pen. But it is interesting. The auto pen situation, like Trump just said there, 92% of what he did was done by the auto pen. I am about 99% sure that the other 8% Trump has revoked through executive order already.
That's fine.
And so, I mean, you could argue that almost 100% of what Biden has done just with this Truth Social post and the executive orders Trump has already done, everything he's done has been wiped away in some form or fashion. And I think that is interesting. I'd have to go through and check everything to be sure, but I'm almost positive because I've talked about this a few times. Every time this auto pen story comes up, I go back to one of his, I think it was his first executive order where he went through 100 things and removed them. Mm-hmm. It took away about all of Biden's first 5, 6, 7 days in office, and then the auto pen started being used on day 5 of the presidency. And so, yeah, it was just a mirage, guys. Never happened.
Yeah. I mean, in some real sense, that's true. And I wish it was easier to see these things at the time, for people to accept it, because, we were called crazy for 4 years for saying, hey, Joe Biden's not president. Hey, Joe Biden's not president.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that people weren't willing to accept, because what they saw on TV was that Joe Biden was president. And I get it. I get it that it's a story that's being told to everyone, and it's being told so consistently and so believably that when everyone accepts it as true, it's really hard to then go against the consensus and say, hey, that's not true. And people don't want their friends to think they're crazy, so they don't want to go out on limbs like that. Well, unfortunately, the truth is not part of the mainstream media generated consensus. And so if you find yourself agreeing with that consensus, more often than not, you're making a mistake. And I think it's one of the lessons from this period to really focus in on what that means. And then also remember, when people are saying things that you think sound just impossible based on what everyone knows, well, what everyone knows is wrong almost all the time. So I don't know why we are still hung up on the safety of consensus.
People are afraid. People are afraid for other people to be in disagreement with them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's frustrating. And this is an issue we have. And I say this all the time, and people hate it, whatever. I'm gonna say it anyway. It's kind of the point of what I'm trying to say. People are like addicted to having their confirmation bias spot scratched. Like they need it scratched always. And in like when you have that, you also have to feed other people's confirmation bias. So not only do you need people to say things that you like to hear, you also say the things that other people want, or that you think other people want to hear. And you guys are stuck in like you aren't going anywhere. You're just stuck. Yeah. And there's a huge portion of our movement that are stuck that way, and people outside the movement too, to your point. And I missed some of what you said, because I had a comment here. We got replaced on the Rumble leaderboard. I just think this is so funny. I got to show you.
On the feature or the leaderboard?
On the feature. I just want to show this headline. Max B disses Jim Jones claiming he smashed his wife. Metro Boomin, Coppin pleased to Drake thought news.
Is that like they're talking about rap or something?
I have no idea. When I saw it, I got distracted and thought it was hysterical.
All of that sounds like gibberish to me.
Yeah. So good job, Rumble. Anyway, whatever. I hope what I said made sense in response to what you said, because
good job. Good job, Rumble. Man, the auto pen, I cannot wait till the entire presidency is gone. And the thing is, we got to keep pushing these things. And we're going to keep pushing these things, of course, because we're kind of like a dog with a bone when we get on some of these storylines that we have been consistently tracking in a unique way now for 3, 4, 5 years. These things are coming to fruition now, and we are being told bullshit stories that we know aren't true. And without that element, a lot of this stuff would fly right by. I mean, we can see much of the quote unquote truth community just aping whatever sounds like it is the op from our side, so that people can access these systems of power running these ops. People are still playing a social credit game and farming attention on social media. Like that's still the number one hobby of so-called truthers. And we haven't gotten past that. But at some point, they're not going to be able to go any further with that. And, if people continue to listen beyond that, what are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? And again,
as you said, to have their confirmation biases reaffirmed and just exchange catchphrases all day.
Yeah. What I will say, what was I going to say? No, I don't remember. Oh, as we always say, every time this AutoPen story comes up, and it's like on a month cycle, once a month, they'll put out a new headline about it, or Trump will retweet something, and Everybody's like, oh, the auto pen story. It's great. We can participate in the narrative layer all we want. But the issue is, and why it's a red herring, is if we don't actually talk about him being illegitimate because of the election. Right. That is my only concern. We can follow this all the way through to the end where, you know, everything he's done is actually wiped away and every executive order is washed away and nothing. It's like he never actually happened. That's still not good enough, though. That's what we have to make sure we continue to push the issue of like, okay, that's great. That's fun. Let's make that a meme. But also he didn't win the election. Didn't get 81 million real lawful American votes.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
But all right, man. I didn't have any other topics. Did you have anything else you wanted to specifically discuss tonight?
Man, I don't know. I don't think so. Let's maybe if I think anything, I'll remind you.
And there might be a few good comments in the chat we can go through. I'm going to read a Rumble Studio ad, and it's one I've never heard of before. It's a little concerning, but we'll do it anyway. See what happens. New research says over 80% of Americans and 3/4 of Trump voters support America First international assistance. According to a new poll by McLaughlin, one of President Trump's pollsters, Americans across the country support assistance designed to root out fraud, tamp down terrorism, secure our borders, support our small farmers, and feed starving children. And over 70% of Trump voters believe that President Trump should win the Nobel Peace Prize if he creates a world where almost no child starves to death.
What kind of questions are these?
I don't know.
The pollsters are asking. This is so dumb.
I don't know. This is the type of assistance we can get behind. Many people will try to stop him, but only President Trump can turn America First international assistance into reality if he does it a Nobel Prize in the future. That was the ad read. And
whoops.
I'm not going to lie. I personally, if you believe in that, you know, go for it. The QR code's on the screen. I personally do not believe in, you know, sending any money elsewhere unless we fix our problems here first. So if that loses us the money on the ad read, I apologize.
I totally didn't realize that the organization is actually called America First International.
Yeah, it's kind of a, what do you call that? An oxymoron?
Yeah, right.
Is that what that's called? So we probably didn't get that ad read.
You know what's funny? We keep getting the explanation that supporting Israel is America First because supporting Israel is in America's interest. If that is the standard for something being in America First, then anyone can make the claim that anything is America First, so long as they are willing to accompany that claim with another claim about how whatever it is they want to do is actually in America's interest. That's just nonsense.
Do they say that they'll be like, could helping Israel be America First because the politicians had their American citizenship first before they got their Israel citizenship? Would that count? Maybe
it could. Yeah. Well done.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Let's check the boost real quick and then we'll get through the rants. And before we do that, I'm going to play our soft disclosure holiday ad before I forget, and then we'll do the boost and rants and get you guys out of here. And Chris, I do need an outro video tonight. So.
Oh yeah. I got to find it.
Okay.
Soft disclosure just dropped new favorites for the season. The Lotion, your 5-ounce favorite, is still here. And now we've added full 11-ounce bottles. New Lavender Tea Tree Deodorant. Clean, calm, and effective. New tallow bars, chamomile lemon rose, and naked. Rich moisture that actually works. And on Black Friday, the new arrivals land. Introducing our first men's only formula, beard oil, in unscented and spiced vanilla. Truth, tamed, and finally your beard is too. Tallow lip balms, made with beef tallow and lanolin for serious moisture. Available in chamomile mint, vanilla, naked, and vanilla tangerine. Plus, mini tallow bars. Same deep moisture as the full size. Available in vanilla coffee and naked. And finally, lavender vanilla lotion. Smooth, soothing, and worth the wait. On Black Friday, the new products arrive, and so do the Black Friday bundles. Visit softdisclosure.com for truth you can gift.
Soft disclosure. Softdisclosure.com, guys. Great products, fantastic products. The lotion, and I'm a guy, never been a big fan of lotion. I do love this lotion. And as gay as that sounds, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. But it's a great way to support Badlands Media as well. So check it out. Couple boosts here. 1027JS says, stay warm. Thank you, Joe, my fellow North Dakotan. Hope you stay warm as well. We got a few here from Quack 1 of 3. Pronounced, Quack, like Duck Talk. Reposting boosts from November 8th that were not read. Oh, that's nice of you. 1027JS. Thanks, guys. Marion Francis, we can stop using false history language. War of Northern aggression, not a civil war. Confederate states wanted to leave, not take over. Interesting. And then another one. Also look for ways to avoid their softening language. When the battle started, it was pro-life versus pro-abortion. Pro-choice was a brilliant marketing move on their part, thanks to organizers and participants. And then I think we're caught up. No, Lionheart here. Hello, everyone. This week reminded me that while many are awake, many still sleep and will never awaken. But it is important to continue to arm yourselves with truth. Nothing can overcome that. Thank you, Jon and Chris, for all you do. God bless AOG. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. All right. God is with us says, if we were living in a normal world, would Trump be able to wage war on another country, Venezuela, without going through Congress? He should be able to. Yes, he could, in defense of the country, I think.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't matter right now because we're not in a normal world and Congress is illegitimate. So why would we give them a say in anything?
That's true.
Keith Higgins, the most salient point to come from the Patrick Byrne interview was giving cover for Netanyahu on the Hamas Holocaust being betrayed by Israeli deep state. Look for that deep state and its ties to Maduro. God is with us, but if we are under some sort of military control, wouldn't that be a reason to be going after Venezuela, drugs, human trafficking, foreign election interference?
I don't understand that, I guess.
I don't know. I think he's talking about like us being in devolution, maybe.
But why would that be a reason for us to do that? I don't get it.
Yeah.
Also, it's entirely possible. We've said this, I think, before, or talked about this, I should say. It might just be that militaries run countries, and that's the only way it can be.
Yeah, I never showed this when we were going through the Venezuela part, but like going back to the 2000s, and I've never really done this before, and I should have. But it is interesting to me that when Chavez got in there, like almost instantly, U.S.-Venezuela ties start to deteriorate, right? And then the U.S. tried to overthrow Chavez in 2002. That was pre-Trump, all those things. Like we've been trying to overthrow the leader of Venezuela for, 25 years. And it's interesting to me that like with them being in control of the election machines, we're told, and able to dictate the elections everywhere, or 72 countries, I guess, for the past 20 years, yet they continue to try to overthrow the leadership of Venezuela the entire time, even though they were the ones picking the leaders of the countries that were trying to overthrow them. Like that doesn't make any logical sense.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't want to suggest that I know what the dynamics were in these particular situations, but depending on what they need to do in a narrative sense, I mean, right now they're talking about the United States taking control of some amount of Venezuelan oil fields, and that Maduro actually offered this. We didn't talk about this, but the New York Times put out an article today that Trump and Maduro spoke directly last week. Trump's thinking of inviting him to Washington, D.C. I know that he's busy escaping to Turkey. And I think we've said this before. It's worth mentioning again. It could be like the al-Shara thing in Syria when Bashar al-Assad left. That was a ridiculous scenario that we got a cover story about how these terrorists went in and took over Syria and forced Assad to leave. I didn't think any of that was true at the time, said that at the time. That is a model for how Maduro might leave and be replaced with somebody. I guess we'll see. It seems like this stuff's happening pretty fast, like right now, and that we'll have some resolution on this, or at least some more clarity on it within the next few weeks.
I think it's kind of absurd, the story that there's talk that Maduro might come to the United States and meet with Trump. $50 million bounty in his head. Like, what for the bounty?
It is very weird. And in the New York Times article in particular, one of the interesting dynamics in there was, Trump and Maduro are talking directly. And then our foreign minister, our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is saying terrible things about Venezuela, while Venezuela's foreign minister is saying terrible things about the U.S. So it could be good cop, bad cop between the leaders and the foreign ministers of each state.
No, I think the best storyline that could come out of this whole thing is if Trump collects the $50 million bounty and like arrests him when they meet. That'd be so funny.
Yeah, I would watch that episode.
Oh, hell yeah. The Substack link, Sunny Ray, Substack link for Eric Carlson, Substack in comments. Highly recommend reading. I will do that. I appreciate you sending it and appreciate the rant. Keith Higgins, do you guys think the Jews invented circumcisions to reduce the act of hoodwinking? That's terrible, but so good.
I don't know.
Probably. Keith Higgins, if PSYOPs have an end date, we had to wait 100 years for conclusive evidence that the Lusitania really had weapons and ammunition on a passenger ship. Maybe AI debunks the PSYOPs more efficiently.
Could be.
Lily 1776. I want to know what Chris Miller is doing. He is too badass to be on the sidelines. He's on the board of a drone company, a startup. And then he's also part of a venture capital firm. It's like Fulcrum something. And they invest in like defense technologies like drones and stuff. So like drones, AI technology, that's what we're told he's doing. However much that is true. But yeah, he's been eerily quiet publicly. I don't even know if I've seen him post anything on Twitter in a long time since the Biden term, but I could be wrong. Susie Q20. Good to see you, Susie. Once CIA, always CIA. And sorry, but wasn't Flynn head of FIWAR division? He was the head of the DIA. So technically, I mean, you could technically make that argument. Yeah. It was weird. Zero Hedge today or yesterday, maybe they wrote an article about the PsyWar video, the fourth SAP group video that we talked about like a week or two ago. And like the Pip of the Frogs and everything that were in there. I thought that was interesting that they wrote about that today for whatever reason. Old School 69. It seems that only Badlands and a handful of genuine established truthers want real answers and not rug pulls. Conning loves rug pulls because it makes them money, likes, and boosts their social media.
Yep.
That's for sure. And then Old School 69 again. Chris, unless we demand Trump reveals his plans, which he won't in full, we should be like that town in the movie Civil War and fully disconnect, focus on what we can control until Trump's plan comes to be.
Yeah, I mean, if we don't have access to the plan and if nothing is going to stop that plan, it really does make sense for us to begin focusing on ourselves and our communities, figuring out, like trying to solve the fake news is not a valuable use of time.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I struggle with trying to figure out what the point of that even is. Like we're trying to figure out what the plan is, but it doesn't matter what it is because nothing can stop it.
Yep.
But then also, like, are we ever going to know if we were right about what we were trying to figure out the plan was? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of it that doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. Yeah. Micro Tool Maker for $55. Good to see you, man. Where we go one, we go all. I think I saw somewhere in the chat you had shoulder surgery or something. So prayers for your recovery. But thank you for the rant. And I did see you leave a couple gifted subscriptions, so we appreciate that as well. Old School 69, the only guaranteed way to see unbiased truth and justice will be at the moment of death for individuals or on Judgment Day. Only faith in Jesus is the only avenue of escaping it. God is undefeated. Amen. Peyton Pooh says, we need more heavy metal references going for. I'm a co-founder, John. I demand a mosh pit. We're all co-founders here, so welcome to the party. Those shirts, I didn't get a chance this week, or this last week, but this coming week, I'm going to. It's on my list to get the co-founder shirts ready to go. Toasty Coconut says, America first means America first. Sounded like a Zionist bagel wrote that. And then German Patriot 93, everywhere Muslims are the majority, they suppress our faiths. It is a real danger, not a psyop. I'm from Europe and face this problem more than you. You underestimate this issue. Maybe. I don't run into too many Muslims here in North Dakota. I don't know about you where you're at, Chris, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sympathetic to that. I actually read, and I would recommend the book to anyone. It's a novel, but Michel Houellebecq is one of the greatest French novelists, certainly of the last 50 years. And he wrote a book in, I think, 2015 called Submission, about coalition politics in France being used to bring in the first Muslim government, and just France in general submitting the elite classes because they liked the lifestyle better, the relationship between the men and the women, and they weren't ultimately going to lose anything. They would have more power for themselves, and then everybody else had just kind of given up, because after years and years of socialism and cultural degradation, that's just where they were. And so I totally understand that this is a real dynamic in the world, and perhaps a really important one. I just don't think it is the dynamic and the important one at the expense of others. And I don't think that we should take our eye off the ball in general when it comes to the globalist project as a whole. Someone is running that immigration operation wherever it exists. And it's the same people who are running global migration operations all the time and have all the time. That all runs through the UN and through NGOs and cartels and the rest of it. It's a big organization. It's not just Muslims.
Yeah, good point, man. What was the name of the book, the novel?
Submission by Michel Houellebecq.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's all we got for you guys. So I got the video pulled up. It's a little JD Vance action, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. He gave a great speech on Thanksgiving about how he hates turkey. Somebody wrote this as a comedy bit, and he's reading it. Either that, or he just spent a lot of time on Twitter knowing the best jokes for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, can't wait to listen to this because I haven't seen it yet. But do us a favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up. We appreciate it. Make sure you tune in tomorrow on Badlands, No Treason Podcast, Burning Brights show, The Narrative. And yeah, stick around on Badlands. Give us a follow if you aren't already. And we will see you next time we see you. Chris, as always, it's been a pleasure.
Good times.
Good rest of your weekend, man.
You too.
Thank you.
You know, one of the things that I love about Thanksgiving, it's probably my favorite American holiday. If you think about all the holidays that we celebrate, Thanksgiving is the most uniquely American holiday. You know, Christmas, of course, the birth of Jesus, all of these other holidays, they're very important. And I love Christmas as much as anybody. I've got 3 little kids, but Christmas is a holiday that 1.8 billion Christians celebrate all over the world. Thanksgiving, what we celebrate tomorrow, that is a uniquely American thing. That's why, for example, we have, turkey. Think about turkey. Who really likes, be honest with yourselves, who really likes turkey? You're all full of shit. Everybody who raised your hands. I know. Think about it. And here's how I know that every single one of you who raised your hand is lying to me. How many times do you roast an 18-pound turkey just randomly? Just, a nice summer afternoon, we're going to go get an 18-pound turkey. Nobody does it because turkey doesn't actually taste that good. But on Thanksgiving, on the most American holiday, I got a fan over here. On the most American holiday, we're going to cook a turkey, by God, because that's what Americans do. We cook this gigantic American bird, and we do all kinds of crazy things to make it taste good. I talked to a soldier today who she said she's going to deep fry a turkey, and I'm actually going to deep fry a turkey myself tomorrow. And look, here's the thing. If you've got to deep fry something to make it taste good, it probably isn't that good. That's a pretty good rule of thumb when it comes to food. Chicken is good all the time. Chicken is good when you deep fry it, but it's also good outside of it.